You're listening to ProBooth Talk, education and insights for photo booth company owners.
Welcome back to ProBooth Talk. With me, like always, is Lap. We also have a guest in our virtual studio today. Tara, please introduce yourself and tell us who you are and what you do.
Sure. My name is Tara Federico, and I'm based in Las Vegas, Nevada. I'm a wedding and event planner and designer. I also sit on the board of WIPA Las Vegas, which is the Wedding International Professionals Association. I am currently the immediate past president, but I've also sat on the board as the president, the vice president, director of membership retention, and also on the initial launch of WIPA Las Vegas.
Wow, that's a mouthful. That's a lot of credentials. I feel like,
Yes.
Are you a Game of Thrones fan? And when they would introduce, never mind then. I think anyone that is knows where I'm going with that. Sorry. Anyways, so we want to talk about associations. It always comes up that people need to be out there meeting people and cultivating good relationships, and the best way to do that in an industry standpoint is through all these various associations. And as past president of the Vegas Wedding Chamber, I also have a lot of the same struggles that you had as the president of WIPA, and that is oftentimes it's very hard to get people to join committees and join the board, which is just bizarre to me because it is such a good way to just build your overall reputation in the industry as a professional and as a industry leader. So I thought it would be a good idea to have you on here and just talk with me a little bit about some reasons people should consider joining committees and boards.
Yes, absolutely. I couldn't agree more with you. I think it's one of the biggest benefits of being a member in any association is the pathway to leadership and just professional development and networking.
So it sounds like you were involved with WIPA from the very beginning. What inspired you to be part of that specifically? I know there's a lot of associations. There's definitely something new and fresh about something new coming to town and being part of it. But what was your inspiration?
Yeah. So I got my start in the wedding industry at the International School of Hospitality, otherwise known as TISO, and they were a huge advocate for networking. They drilled it in us as students that that's how you start your career, that's how you build your business, and how you connect in a market like Las Vegas, where there are so many opportunities available to you. So I launched the NACE student chapter many years ago, and I got my footing there as the treasurer and just absolutely loved it. Saw firsthand how beneficial being on a board was. Of course, being a member is beneficial, but when you are in a leadership role, the opportunities just are vast and wide for you. And although I absolutely love NACE and put a lot of credit to the launch of my business through NACE, there was something about the lack of wedding opportunities in NACE. NACE is a catering association. And when WIPA first came to Las Vegas, I was diving in head first on just any opportunity wedding related. WIPA also offers a lot of educational opportunities. So I wanted to have my hand in my thoughts and suggestions on what kind of educational content I wanted to offer our market. And not only just in our local market, but being able to be a part of something that was launching was really exciting to me, and connecting with other markets as well.
Yeah, that's really one of the biggest benefits of WIPA is the vast education, and it's not taken advantage of nearly enough. Besides, like the monthly or the quarterly educational meetings, there's such a huge backlog in library that I don't think maybe people don't often know about, but it's just not being used.
Yeah, so every chapter, and WIPA Las Vegas has over 20 chapters, are required to host 4 educational events a year. So included in your membership, you have over 80 hours of educational content at your fingertips and included in your membership. So definitely hope that you would take advantage of all of that, in addition to all the webinars and things available online too.
Yeah, and it's not only like there's tons of like YouTube videos about SEO and things like that, but these are like specifically geared to the industry that everyone is actively working in. So it's just so valuable to take advantage of that specific education.
Absolutely.
And I think, Lap, are you? I feel like you're not. And no, you're not.
No, I'm not. I struggle. I love that you're on here, because I want to ask, like, how, if you aren't part of these groups, because I feel like for me, it's very overwhelming, because I feel like a lot of folks who are in these networking groups, like you guys have been in it for years, so you guys know each other. You guys, when you show up, you guys, we talked about this in a past episode where, like, you guys know everybody already because you've been going to the networking events for 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years. How does someone like me who is interested in participating, how do we start getting involved and like possibly consider like being more involved in terms of like taking on positions and things like that? And like, what are the benefits? I know you talked about like opening opportunity. Can you share more about like how that works?
Yes, absolutely. So when I first stepped foot in a networking event, I was 19 years old. And talk about intimidating. Like, I just graduated college. I knew nobody. And that was the time when you would pass out as many business cards as you could, and you collected as many as you could. And then you would just try to make as many connections as possible. I think we are in such a better world of networking with technology at our fingertips. I don't carry business cards anymore. And yes, to your point, I've been doing this for a long time. I do know a lot of people in the room, but I think it's something that you just have to do. Like, you just have to go and you just have to meet one person. So some of the tips that I use, and again, I'm a seasoned networker, but I will go into a networking event and just try to meet 5 people. I do a little pre-work ahead of time if the list is available online of who's attending the event, or even if the membership is available online. I'll do some research beforehand and know, okay, these are like 5 people I want to meet. I just touch base with them. I'm not doing a business transaction. I'm not doing any of that. I'm just going and saying, hi, I'm Tara with Scheme Events. I'm a wedding planner. I just saw that you went on a trip to Lake Tahoe. How incredible. How was it? Right? Like, just something to
Connect.
spark an interest. Everybody likes to talk about themselves. And so I try to go in with like a question or something personal to get them talking. And then hopefully they'll ask me a question in return, right? But then I just leave it at that. It's so nice to meet you. I hope to see you again. I hope to work with you in the future. And then afterwards, what you're going to do is go on social media or Instagram or even a simple email and just say, hey, it was so nice to meet you. Remember we met at the WIPA event last week. I hope to see you again. Right. And then the next time you go, it's 5 more people, then it's 10 and it's 15, and then you start to build. Right. And that's how you're going to build not only your network for your business, but also I have found that when you create a more relationship marketing campaign for your business, you start to engage with people on a personal level. You start to become friends, especially in the wedding industry. I find that it is so amazing to be able to be with your friends on a wedding night when you're away from your actual family. Like, Jason made an appearance at one of my last weddings, and it was just incredible to be able to see him. He was able to see my work. I was able to engage with him, and I was just so thankful he was there. So all of that to say, you just have to do it, and it's such a benefit to your business.
So this specific event, I'm not at a lot of events anymore, but it was at a venue that has a movie theater nearby, and my wife and I were going to a movie there. So I knew that Tara and our team were going to be there doing something. So I just made a point to drive a separate vehicle so I can pop in there and say hi, because you don't get to see everybody all the time.
Well, it made a lasting impression, Jason. Thank you.
Thank you, Tara. I love the pre-work like research, because I could tell you if someone approached me at a networking event and knew that I just went on vacation, I would be flattered, and I would definitely remember that person. So it's a really good way to make a lasting impression. I would probably go home and like tell my wife, like, this person was asking about the cruise that we just went on. So that's really good tip. And I correct me if I'm wrong. Obviously, you would know much better than me. I know WIPA for a minute, and I don't know if this was a local chapter thing, or WIPA nationwide. But for a minute, and maybe you're still doing it, new members or maybe even prospective members could come to the quarterly events a little bit early and have like an intro or kind of a warm-up session to meet some of the board and stuff before everyone kind of got bombarded. Is that a thing? Am I remembering that correctly?
Yeah, last year that was definitely a thing. We were calling it bubbles with the board. So the board would come about 30 minutes before the start of the event, just as a more intimate networking opportunity. So you didn't feel overwhelmed when you first registered and walked into this event of 100 people. We haven't done it lately, but it's definitely something I would want to bring back, because I do feel that there are a lot of people like you, Lap, who are intimidated, and it's I think it'd be beneficial. Or you can find a buddy to come with you. That is something that I definitely did in the beginning. I said, "Are you going to this event? Can we meet outside before we come in?"
Yeah, that's good. And also, like, the easiest way to meet people is to meet the board, because like they're committed to the association, and they're certainly going to be open to meeting new people, and they already know everyone, so they can introduce you to people that would be a good fit, that are similar to you or may need your services or whatever. So introducing yourself to the board is a really good way to get involved and start meeting people.
So as a board member, Tara, how much time do you dedicate into like how much time do you actually dedicate into it? Like if it's something that I would be interested in pursuing, like how do you express interest, especially someone who's not been a member? How do you express interest? How much time is involved for that type of commitment?
Sure. So I definitely recommend first you become a member, and then I would recommend you become a committee member, which is this beautiful kind of 1 foot in, not fully invested opportunity to be in leadership. So a committee would be, I would say, considered more of a volunteer. The board will ask for some help in a particular thing. If that is a skill set of yours, you can raise your hand and say, "I'd love to help." And you can invest a couple hours a week on that particular project. Our committees are anywhere from planning the gala to being gathering sponsorships and raffle items. It could be being a welcoming face at an event, just to get your feet wet and see if it's anything that you enjoy. Once you step into the board, it's a full commitment. I like to offer about 4 hours a week to my current role. And that's because I'm a future thinker. So I dream a lot. I really am up here all the time on what else could I do? This is a cool idea. How do I do it? Not all ideas come to life, but I thrive in that thinking. So when you're on the board, I think it's a really great opportunity to allow yourself time for that. But then there's also tasks and things that each position will have to do. And it really just depends on the investment of each position. So a board is made up of the executive board, which is the immediate past president, VP, treasurer, and secretary. And then a typical board would have directors in, marketing, membership, communication, sponsorship, anything that the local chapter might need. So there's a lot of different opportunities and different skill sets needed for each position.
Yeah, I agree. The committee is definitely the place to start. And also going back to our conversation about how to go into these places and start meeting people, the committee is like, I definitely am a wallflower, and I met more people once I joined a committee than ever before, because just something simple like working the sign-in table, you're literally, meeting every single person as they walk in. And even if you don't have a chance to have a discussion with them, you're at least getting some FaceTime. I haven't met you yet before. Quick introduction, and then the sign-in table is done, 20 minutes or so after the event starts, and then you're able to get up and walk around the room and meet people. And if there's someone that you kind of had a spark with when you were signing them in, you could go back and find them and have a discussion with them. So committees are really good ways to get involved and start meeting people right away. So with your time on the board, how do you think that, not specifically like president, but being in a committee and being on boards, how do you think that affected your business directly, leaving aside all the education and personal growth and things like that, just specifically to your business? Do you think that was beneficial, and how?
Absolutely. I feel being on the board has offered credibility and a view as an expert in your industry. Not only does it grab the attention of other local vendors, but also your clientele. And I definitely saw a rise in my sales when I joined the board. I was just more present. People knew who I was. They looked at me as, okay, someone who's investing in them as the membership base, right, in our local market. So I thought there was this reciprocation of opportunity and referrals from both clients and vendors. And also, a huge takeaway as a small business owner was all of the leadership practice. I have a handful of employees, but being on a board with 15 other people who communicate different than you, who think different than you, who have different perspectives, it was an incredible opportunity to grow my communication skills, my critical thinking, how to have difficult conversations. All of that was incredibly beneficial as I grew as a small business owner. So definitely recommend it to be able to practice all of these things in a safe space.
It helped me a lot with just being a team player again, I guess. Being a business owner since I was like 20 years old, I've always just been myself or had employees that I directed. So joining a board and having to be like on the same level and like what I say isn't the end result. I don't care if you don't like it. This is the direction we're going. That didn't really exist anymore. So I had to actively, collaborate and work on a team again, and that was a new experience for me, and certainly learning. And I think it's helped me a lot with my own team to not be so controlling and to listen to ideas and let people be their own leaders and whatnot. Because when you're on a board, everyone is a leader. Like everyone is business owners, or they're in positions at the job that they work for that it's a leadership position. So you are dealing with a lot of people that have the same drive as you in that respect.
Yes, for me it was the curiosity that I needed to hone in on and not be so, okay, well, this is my idea and this is what I want to do moving forward. But I really had to stop and be curious about other perspectives, other thoughts, other ideas, because we are in a incredible creative market. The ideas can be across the board. So it was really exciting for me to take into consideration other perspectives and to better my own ideas. And I think I'm better for it, for sure.
So specifically with WIPA, just because it's a national board, it's very different than what I'm used to. How different would you say? Is it pretty cut and repeat, or is each chapter pretty different and unique in its own sense for its own local chapter or local demographic?
Great. Yes, great question. Yes, so WIPA National has 21 chapters and growing, and I think each chapter has its own challenges and its own focuses on what the market needs. So, for instance, there was a big push in diversity, equity, and inclusion. And thankfully, in Las Vegas, although I think everybody can improve, we are a pretty natural, diverse city. We're very transient. There's a lot of different religions and abilities, and all across the board, we're very diverse. But a chapter like maybe Utah would have different challenges with diversity, equity, and inclusion. So maybe we don't focus so much on that. But I do feel, because Las Vegas is so transient, I think there is some work to be done on how we shop locally, how we keep some of our talent here in Vegas, and what support we can offer here as a local feet on the ground kind of chapter. So that's just one idea. But I do think every chapter is different. And if you have an incredible board, they can really offer benefits to the local chapter, local members.
So do you have like the freedom to kind of do your own thing? I mean, I'm sure there's some permission process, but say you wanted to participate in like a local toy drive or something like that. Is your board able to make that decision locally?
Absolutely.
Oh,
yes.
fantastic.
There is obviously some communication with national to make sure that we're within the parameters of the overall association. But yes, we do have options to do what our local members want to do. For instance, we're going to do the Pride Parade in October here in Las Vegas. That was something that our board and our members showed interest in, and we're going to go for it. And that's something that we're really passionate about here in Las Vegas. So I'm excited to see that come to life. Our members were also expressing the opportunity to network in more intimate groups. So Las Vegas actually started coffee chats a couple of years ago. It's where 12 or 13 members can come together at a coffee shop and talk about more direct conversations or issues that are going on in our market. And that has been really cool to see because it has evolved into almost every other chapter wanting to do coffee chats. And so that's something
great.
Las Vegas is really proud of.
Yeah, I love the coffee chats. I don't go to nearly as many of them, but they are much smaller and way more intimate. And you really can like meet and discuss and get to know somebody there as opposed to just exchanging cards and moving to the next person. And like WIPA, at least in our local market, has a reputation for having just the most over the top, amazing events quarterly. And sometimes that could be a little overwhelming as far as, meeting people. And I don't want to suggest that it's cliquey, but people naturally gravitate to the people they already know. So when you go to these big events and there's groups of people, even though they're welcoming, because that's why we're all there, it does sometimes have that appearance that these are already groups of people, where coffee chats and things like that is much more small and intimate, and you don't have to have those fears or concerns. It's just a group of, 15 or 20 people having coffee and having a conversation. And that was my very first speaking engagement because I adamant against speaking, but Tara did convince me to come in to one of the coffee chats and actually hold a microphone, which I'm pretty sure may be the first time I ever did that, and and talk about my experiences with WIPA. So
yes, thank you so much for doing that. I also just have one little thing I want to say. As someone who has been doing this for a long time, I think someone from the outside may think that there's cliques. And if I'm ever in a clique, it's because I'm an introvert. It is, as much as you are nervous to come and speak to me, I am just as nervous to speak to you. And I just tend to be around my group of friends because that's my safe space. So never feel like you can't come and talk to me, because if you approach me, I am more than happy and excited to talk to you. It's just we all have our own challenges. I share with Jason, public speaking is awful. Like I do not like it. I do not enjoy it. And it was something I had to do as president, which got me out of my comfort zone. But I definitely encourage, if you ever see a clique, just have a little bit of a perspective that maybe they are just as nervous to get out of their own bubble.
And it's a similar response whenever somebody tries to tell me that any association is cliquey. Have you actually tried to talk to somebody at those tables? Because I promise you they will welcome you immediately, because that is literally why they're there to meet people as well. Sure, they're going to see the friends and the people they've already met, and they'll gravitate towards those people, but everyone is open to meeting you. There's the cliques don't exist like people think they do.
I completely agree, Jason.
It's just a defense mechanism I think people put up because they themselves are timid or uncomfortable going to meet new people. So it's a lot easier to deflect and say, well, everyone was cliquey and it's not me, it's them. But it's not so. Let's see. So other reasons to join boards. Of course, like boards are going to be different from one association to the next. Like Tara mentioned, NACE is more aimed at caterers, and WIPA is specific to weddings. I was on the wedding chamber board.
I'm not in either of them. Can you guys just explain the difference between the two? I'm sorry. I'm sure there's people that are listening that are wondering what NACE is and WIPA. I know what WIPA is. I'm not sure what NACE is. Can you guys clarify that?
Yeah, so I think it's the National Association of Caterers and Entertainers. Is that correct? Does it sound right, Tara?
Yes. I'm not sure what the E is because I think it's changed
Maybe
a couple
events,
times. Yeah, it might be events now.
but it's
And
geared
it's,
at
yeah,
caterers. But it's so much like it's not just caterers, but that's the primary focus. But you'll find planners and photo booth owners and photographers and DJs in there as well. Not so much as you will at WIPA. NACE is going to be a lot more of the, like if you're looking to make a transition into the corporate world, like NACE is going to have a lot of more of like the DMCs and the larger properties and things like that. So where if you go to like WIPA, you may find a lot of the wedding venue banquet captains and things like that, and wedding DJs. If you go to NACE, you may find a lot more of the DMCs and the special event property managers for like ARIA locally anyways, and Bellagio and things like that. So same thing, just different demographic, but a lot of mix. And their boards are going to have different goals and things like that. Like with the wedding chamber, we were much more like into local government and influencing the change of how Vegas is viewed on a national level, and participating with the marketing campaigns for Las Vegas. And we had a large hand in bringing weddings back to Las Vegas during COVID. In fact, I don't know how quickly it would have happened without the wedding chamber's involvement, because we do have a direct line of conversation with a lot of local senator and the county clerk and a lot of the what are those zone people called, commissioners. So we have those communication lines already open, and we are participating in a lot of like ground level government like debates and things like that. So we could have those conversations, and we could bring all the chapels together, and we could put together documents, and we could make that argument that weddings aren't just ceremonies and celebrations, but they're also legal binding things. And sometimes someone might be on their deathbed and need to have that legal contract before they pass, or so we were able to put together the necessary reasons for weddings to be open outside of people just want to get together and have a good time. And they're a necessary thing legally, and we were able to get weddings open in Las Vegas before most of the country was. So we were very proud of that. But that's something that like WIPA or NACE wouldn't have had their hand in, because that they're in a completely different area. So every association is going to be different. So when you're joining a board, just find one that aligns with your values. So as president, if you could choose any board member to help you move your board better or forward, sorry. And this could be like any person, living, dead, fictional, real. Who would you choose and why?
yes. So this might be just because I just read her book. I just finished it, but Michelle Obama, I thought, managed her role as First Lady with such grace. And I loved that she took like a simple garden in the White House to represent her bigger campaign of obesity in children. And I just took that so clearly, as it takes just one step forward, one simple idea to create this snowball effect into a bigger campaign, a bigger thing. And I thought she was incredible. So I would love to see her on a board to really just sprinkle those ideas and to encourage people. And just her love for children too is something that I really relate to.
Yeah, but she's made it pretty well known that she doesn't want anything to do with politics. So you may have a hard time.
100%, yes. Yes. And politics aside, I just think she's an incredible woman. And yeah, I loved what she did. I just loved what she stood for. What about you, Jason? I want to know your thoughts on that question.
So this is a question that I add every now and again because it came to me once and I didn't have an answer. And I wish that I knew that they were going to ask it beforehand because I was left pretty speechless. So I did give it some thought afterwards, and I decided that my perfect board person specifically matching like my style and my business and my vision for the future would have to be Walt Disney, just because of the visionary and the creative and the ability to make dreams come to life. And Walt Disney is my
empire.
An empire. Talk about an empire. Yes.
Yeah. So Walt Disney is my pre-canned pick.
Yes.
Love it.
Great answer.
So, thank you. Both real people, though, so both of us, I guess, are a bit grounded. Let's see. So, what haven't we talked about? So, getting on the board, we discussed like join a committee, get involved, start getting your feet wet, and then generally, I guess different. Like the Vegas Wedding Chamber, the executive board was 2 years, but everything else was 1 year. I don't know how is WIPA annual for everything.
It's the opposite of that. So our executive board is 1 year and the directors are 2-year commitments. And yes, so one of my biggest accomplishments I wanted to share was this year as immediate past president. One of my biggest tasks is to set the 2025 board up for success. As I make my exit, I want to leave really good people in the board to lead our market. So by starting the committee at large, I had over 20 people who, again, dipped their toe in the water, had some interest. They were interested in being just a little bit more than a member, being a volunteer, I would say. And this is the first year that we have more applications than we do have spots on the board. And I am just so excited that there are so many people who are interested in leadership, and it's really filling my cup, and that's what I want for our market. I want to be able to get people engaged. I want them to feel empowered, to make change, to leave their impression on our market. So it's a huge accomplishment. I'm so excited. So if you are in any other market, I really do encourage you to just take the leap and become a member first. Get a feel for what the association is all about. But then there is always room for improvement.
Yeah, and your committee at large was really, so Tara invited me to be part, and I accepted. And after the very first meeting, I had to email her and tell her how amazing and incredible this concept was. And it is a massive accomplishment. People listening may just be like, oh, you created a committee, fantastic. But it solves so many issues that we see as presidents and just committee members and board members as a whole, that all these pain points that associations go through, and it solves so many. Essentially, you have this board, and every position would run more smoothly if they had large committees behind them. And it would take a lot of the burden off each board member. But each board member are business owners who are used to doing everything themselves, and they have a really hard time of releasing control or delegating to smaller tasks to other people. And that is such a hard thing to tell people. You have to build your committee. You can't do it. You can't handle everything by yourself. You can't do it all by yourself. And if you can, you could do more if you had a committee. But people don't. It's a really hard message to get across. So it's really hard to build those committees. But having this committee at large was just a large group of people that could be kind of shuffled around between committees. So sometimes I may be doing something with marketing, or sometimes I may just be checking people in. So I'm not committed to just doing events or just doing marketing. And it was way more welcoming. And like she mentioned, it just got me in there and having these meetings with people over Zoom and just talking and getting comfortable. And then when she came up and said, okay, we're looking for board positions, she's right. We had a meeting to hear more about what that involves. And I just couldn't believe how many people were just interested in just on that call. And I was curious how many of those people actually did put in their applications because, as from the wedding chambers perspective, when elections came around, we had to actively go out. There'd be a couple of people always that are interested in moving things forward and coming to us. But most positions we had to go and say, hey, we think you'd be good for this position. And there's always a lot of pushback. I don't know if I have the time, but all these people were already actively involved in a committee, and they knew what it involved. So I already wrote you an email, but I have to applaud again. That's really, really great.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And I really had some keywords. I wanted to be transparent, right? Like I wanted to open up the curtain and reveal what it is to be on a board, right? It's incredible. Yes, there are challenges, but at the end of the day, you're growing professionally and personally. And I am just so excited that we aren't having to go and ask people to join. They are actively interested, and I get to provide information and to put them where they're going to flourish. So that's what I'm most excited about. So thank you so much, Jason. I appreciate your loyalty and your friendship, and I'm excited to see you on the board next year.
Spoiler alert, I did put in an application from this to join the board as well. So we'll see what happens there. But once I joined the wedding chamber committee, so they did like recruit me the same way the president invited me to coffee, and she kind of soft felt me out because I had sent in an email of some issues because they sent out an email asking like, where would you like to see, what pain points are you having? And I responded to that, and she said, can we talk about your email more? Can I buy you coffee? And it was over like 3 coffees. She slowly got me convinced to join. And from there, it was just so fulfilling for me, and got to know so many people so quickly because I no longer was standing on the edge of the room, not talking to anyone. Everyone was coming to talk to me because the board members do have this certain prestige that people want to go and meet you and whatnot. And you are in front of the room and being introduced to people all the time. So it definitely moved my business forward substantially. Just joining WIPA and being on the board of the wedding chamber. And I continued. I was over membership and then communications, and then I don't think the internet or the website had its own board. I think that was part of communications, but I oversaw the website for a while. Went on to VP and then president, and as well I'm the immediate past president as well. But I tell everybody, and I've probably mentioned it on this podcast in the past, I can definitely look at my financial statements over a 10-year segment and look and pinpoint where I joined WIPA. It made such an enormous impact on our business. And if you're not like part of WIPA and actively going there and meeting people, it's a huge disservice to you as a business owner and trying to grow your business.
No. I'm soaking it all in, you guys.
Well, I would personally invite you to come to Las Vegas. You can be arm in arm as we go to the networking event, and I can introduce you to everybody.
Oh, thank you.
Yes, please come. I'd love to introduce you to the world of networking.
Did you go to the Wedding MBA here in Vegas, Lap?
I did not this past one, but the year prior, and it was amazing. It's so much different than our industry. Like, gosh, Jason, the education for Wedding MBA, I was blown away. I mean, like, I know we've been doing this for so long, so a lot of the stuff that I was hearing, it was just like, it's things I've learned through the 13 years. But gosh, if I knew about Wedding MBA when I first started my career, I feel like I could have just gotten to where I needed to be a lot quicker. So as I'm hearing you guys talk about WIPA, I'm thinking the same thing, like, gosh, I'm not involved in any of this stuff. Not because I don't want to be. It's just, like for me, with my 2 young children, like time is a big issue for me. So it's hard for me to make that commitment. But I'm hearing like the opportunity. I'm hearing about like just getting involved, and I definitely see the benefit of that. It's hard for me to devote my time. Like I can't, like it's hard. The idea of like committing my time when I already have so much on my plate, but I'm hearing the benefit of it. So I think definitely I have to check it out. And I've been hearing about the organizations for several years. I just haven't, I think I'm just one of those people that just dragging my feet about it.
Dragging
I'm not
your
shy,
feet.
so
if you go to Wedding MBA this year, come out to Wedding MBA, and WIPA is going to be here, and they're going to be having they have a booth there as well, but they're going to be having an event in Vegas during Wedding MBA. So you'll already be in town. We'll bring you to the WIPA meeting. You can meet some people. There'll probably be some people from your local chapter, especially since you're so close. You can meet some people.
Yeah. I might have to go to Wedding MBA again.
Yes. I'd love to have you. Let us know.
Yeah, I will. Thank you.
I think that probably wraps up committees and boards. Is there any closing thoughts from anybody?
Thank you so much
sweet.
for this opportunity to share my perspective and my journey. I definitely recommend it, Lab. You got to do it.
I know I keep feeling that. I keep feeling the pressure to do it, and I know I should.
Maybe that's what the show should have been. It should have just me and Tara just going at Laugh until she agrees to join.
But there's a lot of people like me, though. There's a lot of people like that have heard about these organizations. It's just like taking that one step to like get themselves there is like the biggest hurdle, So hearing you guys speaking about it, and you guys both speak about it so fondly, and like it sounds like it's helped you grow. Like I said, your business, but personally, it sounds like it's helped you as well. Like it really does spark more interest in me, like, okay, I got to go check this out, because I've heard about the organizations, I hear about like the events, but I know there's more to it, there's more involved behind.
Yeah. And you mentioned like on a personal level, like I like to participate in a lot of charitable things, but I don't like committing my time to finding charitable things to commit my time to. So that was kind of nice. It's the wedding chamber. I pushed for a charitable chair that they never had before, and we brought on someone actually named Charity, and she was really great at finding local charitable things for us to be involved in. And then all I had to do is just hear about it and show up and go stuff bags of toiletries for homeless teens, or go participate in this school drive to get supplies for local kids and stuff like that. So it's a lot easier for me to fulfill that want to give back when I don't have to do the footwork of finding out where to give back. All right. Thanks for joining us again, Tara. And
yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Lap. And thank everyone for joining us. Let us know if you have any questions.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
You're listening to ProBooth Talk, education and insights for photo booth company owners.